Start Broadcast button on the GoToWebinar control panel to allow all attendees.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is Nick Petro at the National Weather Service in Raleigh. It's Friday, the 9th of March, about 3 o'clock here. And, wanted to do this webinar here to just kind of give folks a heads up as we head into the weekend. Certainly, we're going to see a weather system moving across central North Carolina over the weekend. And as we get into early next week, or early Monday, I should say, there is a risk for a little bit of wintry mixed weather there. Perhaps one last shot of winter weather for central North Carolina. So anyway, I didn't want anybody to be surprised over the weekend, and I thought, why not get everybody together here on the webinar to kind of go over what we think might happen. So anyway, this is our initial briefing. Right now, this is our only webinar scheduled for this event. If a need arises, we'll do more. But right now, this is a pretty minor, very minor event. But again, just wanted to let everybody know before they start their weekend what we think may be happening. All right, so let's go ahead and get started into these slides here. And here's kind of the main takeaway, main points. We do think there will be a light coating, a wet snow, very light coating, underscore, highlight, bold, whatever you want to call it, the word light, mainly on grassy areas north of the I-85 corridor, a few hours either side of sunrise Monday. Not a big deal is what we're thinking right now. So that said, in terms of hazardous travel, we're thinking that maybe there could be a few, slushy conditions here and there. Mainly on elevated roadways, elevated, surfaces, bridges, overpass. Right now, we do not expect this to be a major problem for travel. Again, we'll be here, obviously 24/7, 365. If things change, we'll let you know. But right now, we're thinking this is a very minor event. Again, a few hours either side of sunrise Monday. So let's go to, again, just highlighted the limited snow and the really we're not expecting much in the way of hazardous travel. So I thought I'd share those next couple slides to give you a kind of a sense of what's causing all this. And this will be the weather pattern for Saturday, so tomorrow afternoon. And we're going to be watching low pressure over North Texas here developing. Now that low is going to track to the east. And ahead of that low, we'll get some warming ahead of that, and we do expect some light rain will form along a warm front and then spread across North Carolina. There could be a little bit of light rain tomorrow. We're also going to be keeping our eyes on this high pressure over here over the western Great Lakes. So, as we watch these high pressure areas, that's where the colder air also resides. So anyway, let's jump ahead to Sunday, the weather pattern for Sunday, and you'll notice that low pressure is going to continue to track eastward, and warm air will move up northeast ahead of it. Also keeping an eye on that high over the Great Lakes and some colder air gradually moving southeastward. So in between the high to the north and this low here to our southwest, that'll set the stage for moderate rain overspreading central North Carolina on Sunday and persisting into Sunday night. When I say moderate, you're probably wondering, how much? And we're thinking maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch of rain pretty much across most of central North Carolina. And let me, again, highlighting the word rain. This is going to be rain, liquid. No issues here. For folks who are concerned about treating roads, this is not a type of event where, brining would probably do any help because, it's going to rain prior to any changeover or mixture to snow. So there's really not much of an opportunity to do any kind of pre-treating in this type of situation. So I wanted to mention that as well. So that's the pattern for the setup for Sunday afternoon. Now, as we get into Monday morning, so, the track of that low is so critical, but let me first point out that the high to our north, the high pressure to our north and low pressure passing by to our south, colder air will try to make a push into north central North Carolina. So where you see the high to our north, it's going to try to feed some colder air down towards the Virginia, North Carolina border and north of the I-85 corridor. And that could give us enough cold air to change the precip over, again, mainly north of I-85, to allow it to mix with some wet snow that won't last too long as the low is passing by to our south and east. Now, again, let me reiterate that the track of this low is very critical, this low right here. If it tracks further north, then it'll bring warmer air further north too. and thus preventing any type of changeover to snow. On the other hand, if it tracks further south, then maybe precip amounts, regardless of what type they are, will be lighter. So anyway, right now, if this pans out the way I'm showing here on this screen, this would be allowed just enough air, cold air, to get in here. Again, mainly north and west of Raleigh, mainly north of the I-85 corridor, to see a little wet, a mix of wet snow. Now, let me also point out that the issue too we have with this becoming problematic is the fact that you may have heard me talk about this with other winter storms. You know, to get a big winter storm around here, you need to have the cold air here first. The cold air has to precede the moisture to get a good winter storm around here. That's not going to be the case with this storm. In fact, temperature around all of central North Carolina, we don't think it'll drop below freezing anytime between now and when the precip arrives. So in this case, the cold air is coming after the bulk of the precipitation. So anyway, it's going to stay adequately warm up until obviously the first batch of rain gets here on Saturday, and into Sunday. So that will basically, the cold air is not going to be here first. The cold air is coming in after the weather system is passing by. Whenever that type of situation happens, it's always tough to really, unless the rates are really, really heavy with that changeover of snow, usually we don't get a whole lot of wintry weather with that. Now, again, another thing to keep in mind is this will be largely rate driven. Any type of accumulation would only really occur with any type of snow that's coming down really hard, so keep an eye on that Monday morning. But all in all, taking all of the consensus of all the data would suggest that, again, the locations that have the best chance to see any type of changeover to snow or mixture would be right, again, north of the I-85 corridor. And even there, it'll be very wet, very slushy type melting snow, and really shouldn't cause much of a problem. All right. So that said, here is the accumulation map, and basically we're calling this less than an inch, but honestly we think it'll even be less than a half inch, and again on mostly on grassy surfaces. And again, keep in mind the rate issue. If it comes down really hard, well, that could mean a little better opportunity for some slush to form on elevated roadways. But if it remains pretty light, the ground or let me say the temperature, that is the surface temperature, really will not have had a chance to get below 32 before that. So we should see mostly melting going on there as precipitation hits the roads. Again, if it remains light. So again, it'll be any accumulation will be mostly rate driven. We'll have to keep an eye on that as it's happening. So anyway, based on everything we've looked at so far, this is our best take on it. Again, north of I-85, less than an inch, more likely, even less than a half inch, and again, mainly on elevated grassy surfaces. All right, so let's kind of summarize all this. Light to moderate rain is expected across much of central North Carolina Sunday and Sunday night. Maybe an inch of rain some folks could get. 3/4 to an inch of rain is not out of the question. As the storm system moves to our east and colder air arrives from the north, the rain may become mixed with wet snow Monday morning. Again, mainly north of the I-85 corridor. South of 85, we expect it to just stay rain. In terms of travel impacts, maybe some isolated slushy conditions possible, mainly on elevated roads, bridges, overpasses. Overall, we don't expect this to be a major problem for travel. When's this all going to happen? That is when the snow mix is going to happen. That'll be between 5 and 11 a.m. Monday morning. As always, the last bullet there, certainly worth emphasis that there's a high degree of uncertainty. The storm system is still developing, and things could change. So certainly you'll want to stay tuned over this weekend. As we head into the weekend, make sure you check back a couple times and keep up to date. Check us out on our website, weather.gov/Raleigh. And if there's a need for additional webinars, we'll certainly be updating these briefing slides throughout the weekend. Right now, at this point in time, I do not anticipate doing another webinar unless obviously things change. But right now, I'm not expecting that. But we will continue to update these slides and get them out via our normal distribution channels. So That's our webinar. That's our what we're thinking here for late in the weekend and into Monday morning. So definitely want to stay tuned.